Mateus Sanches Moura. He has been a very good friend of mine and we were colleagues at Universitat Jaume I. He is a robotics researcher at Technological Center of Catalonia, EURECAT, and today he is here to discuss with us about robotics. So let's begin. What inspired you to pursue a career in robotics?
Well, I always like to play with machines, let's say things that work autonomously by themselves. Although I followed electrical engineering during my bachelor's, my thesis was devoted to work with multiple robots, analyze their behavior together. And it was a group of Lego robots, and by working with them, by programming with them, this made me passionate about robotics, about building robots in fact, and it drove me towards the decision of specializing myself. That's why I decided to apply to the Erasmus Mundus scholarship in the robotics masters called Moura here in Europe, and since then I have never regretted doing this. So that's it.
Alright, so what do you think is the biggest benefit that robotics offers to humanity?
I would say the possibility of making human life easier, reducing unnecessary costs, risks, increasing production and quality of life in general. Just imagine the amount of goods that are produced in the world today. How many of these are handled by a robot arm? Well, I would say a lot.
Alright, so describe a problem that you have faced recently and what solution do you come up with?
Usually the problem that I find is, well, compilation error. Some bug I found in my code, and this shows that I still have to learn a lot on how to program well, how to design well my code, and how to make things work. Thankfully, we have a strong open source community that is dedicated to share their experiences and tips on that. Well, thanks a lot Stack Overflow for solving my doubts. And this is just an example of the many challenges we face by building so complex machines and systems that are supposed to make our life easier, as I mentioned before.
Okay, so is there a specific roboticist who has been your inspiration throughout this career?
Okay, well, rather than a person, I would say a source from inspiration ever since I started my master's was the team of a company called Willow Garage. These guys are simply the ones who created the most popular tool in robotics that we use every day. It's called ROS. And well, they don't exist anymore as a team, but their robots and software are still used everywhere and in a lot of robotics projects, including ours at EURECAT. So if there is someone I would say inspires me, these are the guys.
Okay, well, other than this, is there a robotics project from any roboticist that you follow or has been an inspiration for you?
It's hard not to be impressed, for example, by the Boston Dynamics company and their robots. They are like the robots. Pretty sure everybody has seen that on the news or at Facebook. Robots that can open doors with their mouth and do acrobacies, many things that we have never thought of doing before with robots. Although I'm not in the field and I can't tell if it's better to use a robot with wheels or this kind of robots to do a regular task in an industrial setting, for example, I would say this has opened a door for many possibilities in the field. So this is a very interesting project, and I hope they keep improving their models.
All right, so what challenge do you think robotics would be facing in the next decade?
I think we need to tackle the issue of bias in algorithms, mostly in artificial intelligence ones. For example, the way we see things out there may influence the way robots think. And this must be handled really carefully as we are diving deeper and deeper in this deep learning thing, AI techniques, and so on. Also, we need to start working on the part of human-robot interaction. I mean, we have developed a lot in the recent years on the side of the robots, but we haven't done so in the side of people. How do we prepare society for accepting robots? This is a tricky question because it doesn't only involve coding or testing. It involves actually interaction. So this is something that we have to deal as well.
Well, with COVID-19 around, this question was to be there. So how do you think robotics can help us fight pandemics and cases and outbreaks like COVID-19 now or in future?
We have already seen example of that now with the coronavirus pandemic in China. Robots are being used to take care of patients with coronavirus, providing materials to hospital staff. This helps reducing contamination risks, and of course the infection rates may be reduced as well. There are other possibilities that can search from that. I imagine, for example, checking the physical state of a person, serving as personal assistance for the elderly, which is a very active line of research. And only time will tell what's going to happen, even though I hope we don't find this situation again.
All right, so what advice would you give to a student who wants to begin his career in the robotics industry or pursue further studies in the field of robotics?
I would say learning programming, learning computing fundamentals, it's the basics. I tell that because my bachelor's was in electrical engineering, and even though we saw some code, we saw some programming logic in our course, I haven't been practicing that much during that time. So I felt a bit disadvantaged when I started my master's. I felt I really needed to work hard to get along with the course. And this is a continuous practice. This is a continuous learning. Every day I still find myself realizing I still need to read and learn a lot about programming. And this is core to the robotics field. I mean, without programming, you can't do anything. You can work with the mechanics, okay, but this is only a fraction of what we do with robots. So if there's a tip on that, I would say learn programming. The good news is that it's never been so easy to learn how to program. C++, Python, Java, there are many languages out there. You just go to a tutorial in the internet and start coding. That's it.
And can you mention a book that has caught your attention from the field of robotics and that you have been reading recently?
There's a book that I've been reading, not so recently, but during my thesis. It's called Probabilistic Robotics from Sebastian Thrun. It was really helpful for my projects, but I cite that because it tells you how the mentality of robotics has changed within a few decades ago, from the objective way of thinking. For example, you imagine that a robot's here, that it will follow this position and do that, to a more probabilistic, to a more realistic way of seeing things. So instead of saying the robot is there, you say the robot might be there or might be somewhere else, and then we develop techniques to deal with that. This helped developing, for example, many localization mapping algorithms that I use every day. So this was a book that I have recently learned a lot. If you want a recommendation for a more general reading on robotics, I would suggest definitely the handbook from Nusama Khatib and Bruno Siciliano. It's a 1,600 page book, but it covers almost everything in our fields, besides being a classic. I mean, if you are in the field, you know about this book, and you certainly have read at least a bit of it.
All right, finally, how has your experience been as a roboticist?
Incredibly positive so far. We have good opportunities, good work prospects. But honestly, what mostly thrills me is that I work on something I actually like. This is what I wanted. I earn well, and I have good prospects. So I can't complain about anything. I don't imagine myself doing anything else, and I hope I keep learning, I keep specializing myself so I can, develop more projects, better techniques for robotics, and then, advance a bit humanity. So that's it, everyone. I hope this has been clarifying. Well, take care, and most importantly, stay home. Bye-bye.
Alright, thank you very much. This was it from the first episode of Roboticist Stories. See you again.